Hi, I'm Regular Zach, and this is my limited set review for the Magic the Gathering Spider-Man set slash through the Omenpaths set. So if you haven't heard already, the Spider-Man Magic the Gathering set will only be in paper, and the digital version of all the cards are going to be in the Magic universe, so the art will be different and the names will be different for almost every single card. However, they are mechanically the same because they're standard legal and everything. The actual formats will function the same way. They'll just look a little bit different. So today I'm doing a limited set review. So we're talking about draft and sealed, not talking about standard or commander, anything like that. And I have both of the cards next to each other just so you can see. So if you're going to a paper pre-release, this is the cards that matter. And if you're playing online on Arena, this is what matters the most. I'm going to be primarily talking about these cards because most people are drafting on Arena, and I'm going to be spending most of my time drafting on Arena, so I want to get used to these cards. Today I'm talking about all the colorless cards, so these are all the artifacts and some of the lands from the set. And I'm going to give them all a rating on a scale from A to F. So A's are bombs. These are the best cards in your deck. They're super strong and you show them off to your friends. B's are cards that actively pull you into this archetype. C's are cards that are, they're bread and butter. They're perfectly fine. Most of your deck is built up of these cards, but they're not usually that exciting. D's are cards you hope you don't have to play at all. They're really bad. And then F's are cards that actively don't function in our format. They're for constructed or for other things. They're just not really for us. So anyway, we're going to start off with Perfected Pastry, which is a single colorless mana for an artifact food at common. You can pay white and tap it, sacrifice this artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on up to one target creature, draw a card, activate only as a sorcery. And you can pay 2 mana and tap it to sacrifice this artifact. You gain 3 life and you still get to draw a card. So there is a cycle of common artifacts that all have different colored pips. So this is the white one. And I think this works really well in the white deck because you're wanting to modify your creatures anyway. Getting counters on them is really nice. You always get a card back. So this is like 2 mana, put a counter on something, get a card back. Like, I don't know, that seems pretty good overall. I don't think we want to do stuff in the other decks where you're like not paying white to just gain 3 life and draw a card. That seems kind of bad. I would only put this in a white deck, but I think it probably is actually playable. It's like a C level card. Would be a nice little, it's a little bit of air, but it keeps the cards flowing. It might help you get some land drops as well as just turning your creatures modified. So yeah, I think this is a perfectly fine card. It's like a C, which is nice for these colorless cards because sometimes they're really bad. Next up, we have Steel Web Surveyor, which is 2 mana for a 2/1 artifact creature Spider Robot Scout. At common, it has reach. And says when this creature enters, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. This card is just kind of like a safety valve for if you didn't have enough fixing in your colors and you need to be able to get a land. But you don't draw the land right away. You have to use your entire draw step just to get it, which kind of sucks. These cards tend to be I just don't really like them very much. I'm not a fan. Reach is actually really helpful, and it is randomly a spider, so that's good. But other than that, I think this is probably a D. If this card's in my deck, I'm like, oh god, are you serious? But every once in a while, you'll be low on 2 drops, and you'll be like, okay, well, I guess I'm playing the Surveyor then. And you don't have to put a land on top. That's one really nice thing, is that's just a May ability, so if you just need a 2 mana 2/1 Reach, you can play it as that, and then be done with it. So, but D for the Surveyor. Next up, we have Vine Woven Chariot, which is a 2 mana 3/1 artifact vehicle at common. It says when this vehicle enters, you may pay green. If you do, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. And then you can crew for 2 mana. This is another one of those fixing things. You have to play this card with green. You can't play this as a 2 mana 3/1 crew 2. That's so horrible. It's it's so bad. It's so bad if you don't get the land. So you have to draw the card. But the fact that it goes into your hand also really sucks. You would want to ramp, and so this doesn't ramp, which means that it's not good, which means that I'm probably just going to give it a D as well. It does fix your colors, but it goes in your hand. I don't know. I think it's so weird that they give you the ability to play this without paying green. Don't put this in any deck other than a green deck, and hopefully you don't even have to put it in that deck either. There's better ways to do things. Don't play this card. Bad. Next up, we have Eerie Gravestone, which is a 2 mana artifact at common. It says when this artifact enters, draw a card. Sweet, I get my money back already. What else does it do? It has an activated ability, 1 and a black. Sacrifice this artifact, mill 4 cards. You may put a creature card from among them into your hand. So obviously goes in like the blue-black kind of mill yourself deck, reanimator type style. But I love the fact that you just get a card right off the bat. You just like play this, you get your card right away for 2 mana. That's pretty sweet. And then there's a little bit of added stuff later. I don't know. This card seems like you could totally play this. This is like an ability I would like. It's probably just like a C, but getting the card immediately is really nice. On your turn 2, you're like, well, I just need to draw some cards. In that deck specifically, choosing when you're going to mill and when blah, 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 blah is really nice. So, I don't know. I like this as a C. I'll actually play this card. Next up, we have Data Scrubber, which is 3 mana for a 2/1 artifact creature, human, robot, villain, at common. It says, when this creature enters, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. Target creature you control connives. So you can exile any card you'd like, and you don't have to exile something to connive. Those are 2 separate things. So yeah, this enters, you get to connive. So it's basically like, 3 mana, 3/2 if you discard a non-land card, which is not very good. The fact that you could do it to any one of your creatures is kind of nice. But the body kind of sucks. It's on a, 3 drops or really, you need really good 3 drops. And this one's just very meh. Doesn't do very much. So this is probably like C- to another D level card. Like, I hope I don't really have to play this card. There are better ones that do a very similar thing. Yeah, so I'm probably just going to say this is a D, like plus. Like, you can play it at times, but I really don't want to. I'm not excited at all to play this card. Next up, we have Treat Trolley, which is 3 mana for an artifact at common. When this artifact enters, create a food token, and it taps for any color. Yeah, sure, this is a mana rock for 3 mana. Getting a food token is not that big a deal. It doesn't really do that much in... Like, getting cardboard is nice, yes. But it doesn't give you a creature. It doesn't draw you cards. It's kind of just fixing your mana and ramping you, which there are decks that would probably care about that. But I think that it's just pretty weak in all of that, so I'm probably just going to give this a D as well. I don't really want to play this card. Sorry, Treat Trolley. You're cute, but I don't want to play you. Next up, we have Opulent Valet, which is 3 mana for a 1/1 artifact creature construct at common. It has flying, and says when this creature enters, create a 1/1 green and white human citizen creature token. All right, so a 3 mana 1/1 flyer and then a 1/1. So it's obviously below rate, but you do get a token when it enters, which are usually pretty good in limited. So this is probably playable. It's probably like a C-, just because you get 2 relevant things. And I guess technically you could web this back to your hand, and then you could play it again and get the tokens over and over again. It's a poor man's, there's some gold cards that do that, so it's like a poor version of that. It does have flying, but it's still I don't know. It could be not the worst. So I'm not going to give it a D. C-. I could see playing this card, but it feels kind of bad. Next up, we have Carriage of Dreams, which is 3 mana for a 4/3 artifact vehicle at common. It says whenever this vehicle attacks, you may pay blue. When you do, another target attacking creature can't be blocked this turn, and it has Crew 2. Again, this vehicle I don't really like. Crew 2 for a 4/3 is fine, but then you also really want another creature attacking so you can pay the blue to give it unblockable. So you really just want 2 creatures with this fairy thing. Doesn't do anything when it comes in. The body isn't like a 4/4, I don't know. These vehicle ones are kind of crappy. This feels bad. This is another D. I don't want to play this card either. Yeah. Maybe we shouldn't have vehicles anymore. Next up, we have Temple Trap, which is 5 mana for an artifact at common. It says, when this artifact enters, it deals 5 damage to target creature. You can pay 1 and a red to discard this card and destroy target artifact. So it's basically like Shatter in your hand, but then you can also, 5 mana, destroy something big. It's definitely a begrudgingly playable card. If... It is just random removal that you can play in any deck, but 5 mana to deal 5 damage is so expensive. I would be so upset if my deck had this card in it. So it's a D plus because like at least it kills something. It doesn't do nothing. I think the shatter effect of it is not very good, but like you really hope you don't have to play this card. Yeah, that tends just to be the way with art, like common artifacts tend to be kind of like that. Like most of them are just kind of trash. Every once in a while they pop up and there's something interesting, but for the most part, the colorless cards have to be bad. All right, next up we have Cactarantula Saddle, which is a single colorless for an artifact equipment at uncommon. It says equipped creature gets +2/+2 and is a spider hero in addition to its other types, and then you can equip for 3. It's always the thing of like I wish that the equip cost was cheaper and the actual like investment to put on the battlefield was the more expensive thing, because I want to equip this around and trade off my creatures and get my value that way. But 4 mana to give a creature +2/+2, and then the spider hero part doesn't really matter all that much. It'll come up every once in a while, but I don't know. This also feels like a D. I don't think this is an equipment I want to be playing. I wish it was like, it costs 2 and you equip for 1 or whatever. But obviously that's much better than this card, so yeah. Next up, we have Goro-Rel, Scourge to Spiders. It's 2 colorless for a 2/1 legendary artifact creature, human villain. It says when Goro-Rel deals damage to a spider, destroy that creature. So it has spider death touch. It kills all spiders, but a lot of them are kind of its size. And when it's in your graveyard, you can pay 6 mana to exile this card from your graveyard. Create 2 tapped 1/1 colorless robot artifact creature tokens with flying. Cool, so you trade off with something early, and then in the late game you get 2 1/1 flyers. That's actually playable. I could see this as like a C level card. This is more of a like artifact that I would want to play, where it's like, yeah, it's a totally kind of meh 2-drop, but then later in the game I do get like, you might be able to cheese them out with little flyers. So yeah, like a C level card. I actually like this one. Of all the artifacts I've seen so far, I think this is probably one of my favorite ones. Next up, we have Scuttling Spider Coach, which is 3 mana for a 3/3 artifact vehicle. It has trample. And it says, whenever this vehicle attacks or blocks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each spider you control, and then you crew for 2. So sure, if you have a ton of spiders and you attack with this, it could get big. But crew 2 is a little tight sometimes. Though, to be fair, most of our spider tokens are 2/1s anyway, so that's kind of nice. At least there's that point to it. And it could get really big. Trample is really great on this. It's probably still like a D+, where I don't want to play vehicles in my deck. Like I don't think they're very good. So I don't like this card, but it has some potential. That's why I give it a little plus. Like it's, maybe we could get there. But ultimately, probably not that exciting. Next up, we have Error 9, Viral Node, which is 4 mana for a 3/3 legendary artifact creature robot villain at uncommon. It says, at the beginning of combat on your turn, target non-equipment artifact you control becomes an artifact with base power and toughness 3/3 until end of turn. Untap it. So this is actually kind of fun where you have some of these trinkety artifacts just turn into 3/3s, like maybe some random food tokens you get from your city pigeon, or some treasure tokens, or random stuff that you've just got along the way. Just you turn these into 3/3 attackers every turn. That's pretty fun. I do like the, March of the Machines was a card from like Mirrodin that like did that to all of your artifacts. So this is kind of similar. I like that effect. I think it's really fun to have like, okay, this creature is just a food token, but then it turns into a creature on my turn. I think that's kind of fun. But anyway, so this also has some potential. It depends on what artifacts we have. I think there's a secret artifact deck. We're seeing a couple artifact things float in, like, oh, you want to have... I kind of like that some of these artifacts are like, you want other artifacts, and then there might be a secret blue artifact deck. I've already seen some seeds for it, so keep your eyes out for that. But yeah, this is like a C, probably C-, because you have to build around it a lot more. But it's a cool card. My eye is on this one more than some of the other ones. Next up, we have the rares. We have Phenomena Recorder, which is a single colorless for artifact at rare. It says, this artifact enters with 3 film counters on it. You can pay 2 mana, tap it, and remove a film counter from this artifact. Copy target activated or triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. These effects in general, I think that are just... They seem so exciting. Like, oh, I get to copy something. I play this card. It's got this big ability. I'm going to copy that ability and get it again. But there's a lot of setup that goes on. And you can't do this more than 3 times, and it also costs 2 mana every time. You can't just like tap this and get the ability. So then you're playing off curve, because most of your best abilities are triggered abilities, and well, activated ones usually also cost mana. So it just makes all those abilities cost 2 more mana to do obviously twice the stuff, but maybe it's too late because you've been waiting too long. So I don't really like this card. I think this is like a D to like maybe an F. You know what? I'm going to give it a D because there's probably something fun you can do with it, but I'm not going to be the one doing that fun thing. So tell me if you do the fun thing, because I won't see it. Next up, we have Giant Craft Helm, which is a single colorless for an artifact equipment. It says, whenever a creature you control with mana value 5 or greater enters, you may attach this equipment to it. And then equipped creature gets +4/+4, and it has equip 5. So you could equip it for 5, which is pretty expensive, but sometimes at the end of the game, you just spend your whole turn moving your equipment around, especially when your equipment is +4/+4. I think your original investment for as just 1 mana is pretty great, and then you just have to play a deck, like Gruul's gonna love this card. Like you just play a deck that has a bunch of like big creatures, you just push to the 5 mana value range, blam, you're going nuts. And then if you ever are in a situation where you're like enwebbing your 5 mana value creatures or like mayheming them out, then you're just, it's just so much gravy. It's so awesome. Like those are sweet plays. I think this card has potential. I'm going to give this a C+, because you do have to build around it a little bit, but I do think it could be really strong in your deck. Maybe even to like a B level, but I don't know how many times can you actually do the play a creature with mana value 5 or greater to equip this? Like maybe twice. Hopefully the first time you do it, you just kill them, and then you did it once, but you won. But it's not like you're going to be moving this thing all over the place, right? You're probably just going to do this once or twice. And if you don't do it at all, then it's probably pretty bad. So that's why it's still in the C range. But I like this card a lot. This one is very exciting. Next up, we have Physic, Ethereum Mechanic. It's 3 mana for a 2/3 legendary artifact creature, Spider Hero at rare. It has Vigilance. And you can tap it to put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature and or vehicle you control. Hopefully just artifact creatures, because the vehicles are bad. Though this makes the vehicles a lot better. It makes them huge. And you can pay 2 mana, and you don't have to tap it. You remove 2 +1/+1 counters from among artifacts you control, and you draw a card. So this thing feels like it has all the stuff. It's a 2/3 with Vigilance. You attack. You can tap it to put a counter on it, because this is an artifact creature, right? So this also counts. And it just puts it on all of them. Like this is the card where you're like, ooh, if I first pick this card, do I just push really hard into an artifact deck and just win the game with this thing? Because this is very powerful. I think this is like a B. Like if you build around this, this could be like an A in your deck. But even by itself, just like a B- to be like, yeah, my 3-drop just grows and grows and grows until you deal with it. And if I have enough stuff going on, I can draw cards if we're in a board stall to find answers for your stuff. Maybe this is just a solid B. I think I give this a B-, but no, just a solid B for this card. Sick. Finally, an artifact that's really exciting. This one is just so good. Next up, we have Stitcher's Wings, which is 3 mana for an artifact equipment at rare. It says, when this equipment enters, if it was cast from your graveyard, attach it to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has flying and haste, and the equip cost is 2, but it has Mayhem for 2. So if you discarded this card any time during the turn that it was discarded, if you pay 2 mana, you can cast it from your graveyard. Now, timing restrictions apply, so it has to be on your turn during your main phase. But instead of paying 5 mana to equip one of your creatures, you pay 2 mana because you discarded it. It immediately goes on a creature. It gives it haste and +2/+0 and flying. That's awesome. And the equip cost is only 2 later. So like that's not that big a deal to move around and win. Like this card is also like a B level card. I think you do need to be discarding this. So yeah, it's probably like a B- because you have to be in that specific deck. You can't just put it into anything. It needs to be in like a Rakdos deck or like a blue-black deck, probably, if you're conniving. But whew, that's pretty good. The other random thing is that you do actually have to also have a creature on the battlefield. So, okay, that's kind of annoying as well. Like, you can't just... Obviously, you need the creature to attach it to and blah, 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 blah. But I think this card's great. Super sweet. All right, some of these rares. All right, we're getting more excited. And next up we have Reality Fulcrum. It's 4 mana for an artifact at rare. It says, when this artifact enters, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. Okay. And then it's a mana rock. You can tap it, add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast spells from exile. Not even just like cast spells that weren't in your hand, which could count for mayhem and stuff. It has to be exile. That sucks. This is bad. I mean, it's like 4 mana, draw 2, but you have to play them this turn or next turn, and this gives you some mana back. But then after you like spend the time with those cards, like you're not doing anything. There are cards that care about casting things from exile, so there is a little bit of a theme there. There are like some rares that care. But overall, this is like a D. I think that maybe there's like 1 in 150 decks that this would actually be good in. And just majority of the time, it's so bad. Like, this is just a D. Probably like an F. You probably just should never play this card. Technically, it does draw you cards. So, okay. It does draw you cards. So I guess there. Yeah, it's a sorcery speed draw spell that helps you cast some of them. So then I guess it really is just a D. For whatever reason, it just looks so horrible to me, but we'll just leave it as a D. You could play it, but I don't really want to. But I'm ready to be proved wrong. Anyway, let's move on to the lands. We have Vibrant Cityscape, which is just Evolving Wilds. You tap it, sacrifice this land, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tapped, then shuffle. This is the 3rd version of this card. So commander players, there you go. You can have 3 of this effect in your deck if you'd like. But these are great. Cityscapes, or like Vibrant Cityscape, seems great in the draft format. It fixes all your colors. It's the really great turn 1. This will be a card that you will like to have in your deck. Everything's, for the most part, like allied to color paired stuff. But if you have a splash, which there are a couple cards that are 3 colors, this would be a really great way to get your splash color. Anyway, sorry, I forgot to say, this is like a C+. I like this card. It is a card that I would play, and I want to have it in, all of my decks. I'd like to have a couple lands. So this is definitely one of the ones I would do. Next up, we have the Allied Dual Lands. So this is University Campus, which is the white-blue one. So this land enters tapped, and it taps for white or blue, and you can pay 4 mana to tap it and surveil 1, which is pretty good. I kind of chose this one because there's campuses in Strixhaven, which had a very similar effect. So yeah, but there's only 5 of these. So all the allied colors, so it's like white, blue, blue, black, black, red, red, green, and green, white. But they're very, very helpful. So the last card that we are looking at does make sure that you can like fix your colors. So if you are missing a color in your hand, you can go get that. This immediately helps you cast like the double pipped cards, right? Because it taps for either or, and these are much better. I think these are like B- level cards where like I actively want them in my decks. And especially because we're in a pick 2 format, I may not have remembered to say this at the beginning of the video, but the draft format, you pick 2 cards instead of just picking 1. So these will be much higher picks because you want to pick this with another card that kind of goes with it, and you can fix as you're going through. So I think these go up a bit higher. Just to make sure that you're really hitting your colors, because the worst thing in draft is like, I'm missing a color. And if you prioritize cards like this, you won't have to have those horrible games where you can't cast something, or you're like, oh, if only I had double blue. This is the card that helps you do that. So definitely love these types of cards. The first one is really high on my list, and then they kind of go down from there. That's why I wanted to give it a B-, just to prove a point. They're important. These are important cards. You should have them in your deck. Prioritize them. All right. Next up, we have Fearsome Ridgeline, which is a uncommon land. It taps for colorless, or you can pay 1 and tap it to add 1 mana of any color, so it filters to fix all your colors. And you can pay 1 mana and tap it. Target legendary creature gains menace until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. This is okay. This is like a C-. It will technically fix your colors. And like maybe if you're playing the 5-color deck, like it gets the next one that you're missing and you have to play everything off curve. But it does do that, and it does give your creatures menace. So that's kind of cool. Or your legendary, 1 legendary creature. But I'd much rather play the dual ones than this. Like, they seem way better. This one seems like It's fine. It's playable. The Menace will actually come up. That's kind of interesting. There are a lot of legendary creatures in the set, but yeah, I'd much rather have the dual LA dual colored lands. Just way better than this. Next up, we have Multiversal Passage, which is a rare land, and it says, as this land enters, choose a basic land type, then you may pay 2 life. If you don't, it enters tapped. This land is the chosen type. So this is kind of like the Vibrant Cityscape, except for it doesn't pull a land from your deck. You just get to, whenever you play it, you choose whatever color you want, and then you're stuck with it. It can also come in untapped, which is huge. Really big game. It's still like a C+, though, because it can't tap for 2 colors. If it tapped for 2 colors, that would be like way better. But the fact that you have to pick the turn that you play it is brutal, because every once in a while you're like, okay, I have a Multiversal Passage, so now I can play 3 colors and it'll just count as my splash color. That's perfect. And then you get the hand where you're like, well, I have all red lands, I have green cards in my hand, but I do have a Multiversal Passage, but that card was supposed to tap for black. But now I'm going to have to make it tap for green so I can play my cards. And then you draw your splash card and you can't ever cast it. Like, it just kind of sucks. So that can be a really bad feeling. So I still think it's a C+. I think I'd probably want the dual colored ones that are in my colors over this. But it's easier to pick this one early because it can go into a bunch of different decks. So that's kind of the caveat between the two. Like, in your final deck, you'd rather have one that taps for both of your colors. But if you're playing one of the enemy colored pairs or something like that, this one helps out a lot for that. Or if you have a splash, of course. But anyway, so that's like a C+ for Multiversal Passage. Next up, we have Exclusive Nightclub, which is a rare land. It enters tapped. It taps for blue, black, and red, and says when this land enters from a graveyard, you may pay 2 life, and it has Mayhem. So you can discard this card, and then you can just play it for your land for turn, and you lose 2 life. But it taps for 3 mana. Like, that is, I just talked about how important that is. And this one is just awesome. This is the card that you really need. If you see this early, you'd be like, ooh, maybe I can play the Grixis like Mayhem deck. Like, this is going to be kind of interesting. I'll be like really focused blue-black and then I can splash red for a couple cool cards. You know, this is the card that really, really helps you do that. And so this is pretty sweet. I think it's also like a B-. Even in your regular decks and you just need like a multicolored land, like this is great. It opens so many doors. This nightclub opens doors. Who knew? And last up, we have Urban Retreat, which is the same type of thing. It's a land that taps for green, white, or blue, but it actually has Enweb, basically. So you can pay 2 mana, return a tapped creature you control to its owner's hand, and you put this card from your hand onto the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. So it does ramp you. So this one, the other one can't ramp you because you discard it, but you play it for your land for turn. This one can ramp you, like you just return your, like turn 2, you return your pigeon to your hand, you play this, bam, on turn 3 or on turn 4. That's pretty nice. It also taps for Bant. I don't know. I like this a lot. It's another B- type card. Like all the ones that tap for multiple colors, I'm really high on. The ones that tap for just one color, I'm less high on, but they do fix. All very important things. Don't sleep on these lands. They're important in draft, and especially with pick 2, you have the best of both worlds. You don't have to try to pick the card that looks cool and pick the fixing. You get to pick both. Though I know everyone's going to be like, but I could pick both of the cool cards. No. Pick the cool card and pick the fixing. You're going to thank me for it. Trust me. But anyway, folks, what do you think about all the colorless cards from this set? Tell me in the comments below. Tell me which cards I was completely right about and completely wrong about. I do sometimes mix some things, so make sure I know if I missed anything. But anyway, folks, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.